The river shimmered, a perfect mirror of the blue sky. It looked so peaceful, so inviting. But Buster, a golden retriever with a soul as steady as an old oak, felt a tremor in the earth that had nothing to do with the ground. He sensed a secret the calm water was trying to keep. The Miller family, David, his wife, Clara, and their 8-year-old daughter, Maya, had chosen this spot for their annual picnic. It was a secluded bend in the river, miles from any town, a place where the world felt quiet and safe. Buster, their loyal companion of 5 years, usually loved these outings. His tail was normally a constant, happy metronome, wagging with the joy of being outdoors with his favorite people. But today was different. He stayed close, his body language a low hum of anxiety. He wasn't chasing butterflies or exploring the nearby woods. Instead, he'd sniff the air, and a low whine would catch in his throat. His eyes, usually soft and happy, were fixed on the water with an unblinking intensity. David and Clara spread out the checkered blanket, unpacking sandwiches and lemonade, completely at ease. To them, the day was flawless. But to Buster, something felt deeply wrong. The world was out of tune, and only he could hear the discordant note. Maya, full of life and eager to test her new toy boat, waded into the shallows. The water was cool and clear, barely deep enough to cover her ankles. It seemed perfectly harmless. David and Clara watched her from the blanket, relaxed and smiling in the afternoon sun. But Buster stood at the water's edge, rigid as a statue. He let out a soft bark, and another, this one more insistent. "What's with him?" Clara asked, a slight frown creasing her brow. She looked over at their usually carefree dog, now pacing nervously by the riverbank. David shrugged, taking a bite of his sandwich. He probably just saw a squirrel. You know how he is with those. But Buster wasn't looking at the trees. He wasn't distracted by a squirrel or a rabbit. He was looking at the river, his gaze locked on something far upstream, something the humans couldn't see or sense. He whined again, a sound of deep, guttural unease, and nudged Maya's hand with his wet nose. He tried to gently guide her back to the shore, pushing against her leg with his head. He was trying to tell her, in the only way he knew how, that the water wasn't safe. Maya just laughed, patting his head. "Silly Buster, it's just water." She playfully splashed him, then pushed her little boat out a little further. The current was gentle, a lazy swirl around her legs. But upstream, far beyond their idyllic picnic spot, the river was changing. A distant, almost imperceptible rumble began to vibrate through the water. It was a deep bass note beneath the gentle sounds of the afternoon, a feeling more than a sound. Buster felt it in his paws, a growing, insistent vibration that traveled up his legs and settled like a stone in his gut. His soft barks became sharp, urgent commands. He started running back and forth between Maya in the water and David on the picnic blanket, his movements growing more and more frantic. He tugged on David's pant leg, his eyes wide with a plea he couldn't put into words. "Hey, boy, calm down," David said, trying to soothe him, but Buster pulled again, harder this time, growling with frustration. The sky was still perfectly clear. The sun was warm on their skin. There was absolutely no logical reason for alarm. It was no longer just a feeling in the ground, but an actual sound below, menacing roar that was steadily, ominously growing closer. Suddenly, Buster stopped barking. He looked at Maya, who was still smiling in the shallows. Then his gaze shot upstream. A line of churning, muddy water was now visible in the distance, moving toward them with an unnatural, terrifying speed. In one swift, decisive motion, Buster plunged into the river. He didn't hesitate for a single second. He swam straight to Maya, grabbed the back of her life vest with his teeth, and started paddling back to the shore with all his might. At that exact moment, David saw it too. His heart leaped into his throat. The calm, mirror-like surface of the river was gone. In its place was a surging, powerful wave of brown water. A flash flood, appearing out of nowhere, silent and deadly. "Maya!" he screamed, scrambling to his feet, his mind racing to catch up with the sudden horror. But Buster was already there. His powerful legs were churning, fighting a current that was suddenly trying to pull them under, to drag them into the chaos. He reached the bank with Maya, just as the full force of the floodwater hit their peaceful cove, turning it into a raging, violent torrent in the blink of an eye. David snatched Maya from the water's edge, pulling her into his arms. Her small body was trembling, her eyes wide with shock. The river, now a violent, churning mass, swept away their picnic blanket, the basket, and Maya's little boat in a matter of seconds. Everything they had laid out for their perfect day was consumed by the angry water. It was all over in a flash. The danger had come and gone, leaving behind a scene of quiet, shocking devastation. Buster, shaking and completely exhausted, collapsed onto the grass, his chest heaving as he gasped for air. Clara rushed over and wrapped him in a towel, her own hands shaking too badly to hold it steady. He had saved Maya. Their silly, squirrel-chasing dog had sensed the danger and saved their daughter's life. The dog had known. Later, wrapped in blankets in the back of their car, the family was quiet. The drive home was filled with a heavy silence, each of them replaying the terrifying moment in their minds. As they drove, they could see the river already receding, looking almost calm again from a distance. But they knew better now. They knew that beneath the surface of a peaceful day, a hidden danger can lie in wait. And sometimes, the only warning you get is the powerful instinct of a loyal friend. David looked in the rearview mirror at Buster, who was now fast asleep, his head resting peacefully on Maya's lap. The dog hadn't been silly. He hadn't been overreacting. He had been listening to a language older than words, a wisdom that flowed in the earth and the water. And because he listened, they were all safe. For the Miller family, the memory of that day wouldn't be one of fear, but of a quiet, profound gratitude for the brave, intelligent dog who knew the river's secret long before they did.